Newsfirst Newsline with Shaukat.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live. Precisely 3 months ago, on the 25th of July, the chairman of our company, Mr. Rajendran Mahendran, passed away, and today is exactly 3 months. I like to remember that, and I'm sure all of you would too. Now then, this evening on the program, because of the growing economic situation in our country and all over the world actually, but specifically in Sri Lanka, crime figures tend to go up. And we've got with us a very senior police officer who's retired after, shall we say, a lifetime in the police service, dedicated, loyal service to our country, keeping all of us safe. And he's agreed to come on the program today. Of course, it's DIG retired Priyantha Jayakody. Very good evening to you, DIG.
Good evening, Paras. Yes.
And how many years did you work in the police then?
Actually, I completed 40 years in the active service.
40 years, isn't that marvelous?
Yes. Yeah, little less than 40 years, say that 39 plus.
And your last posting was DIG in charge of serious crimes, isn't
Yes, I was in charge of crime and organized crime.
Crime and organized crime. Obviously, with the economic condition, usually it means that there is more crime going on. How should the public be behaving? What should they be aware? What kind of advice would you give us, the public, considering you've got 40 years of experience?
Yes. First thing, to identify the real crime trend, you'll have to specifically identify what kind of crimes happen. In criminology, we identify these crimes as first against person, then against property, and there's a small portion we identify as victimless crimes.
Okay.
Though those are crimes, but there's no victim. It's basically, these are the detections, and something like keeping firearms, the drug detections, like that. Other two is the against person and against property. The basic classification is that. In Sri Lankan context, I'm having details for last 3 years. That means just before the COVID, year 2019, that's under the normal circumstances. Then we consider the year 2020 plus 2021, the first half year up to 30th of June. That means that is we consider as the half year, because during the measuring of statistics we use this.
Right.
When we considering these facts, we can see little decrease of crime against person and little increase of crime against property, and we particularly notice that crimes do by racketeers, especially cheating cases, there's a drastical decrease of that. Except other offences, that's usual. Domestic violence, some cases have increased.
And DIG, how should the public, what are the precautions? Are there any specific precautions that we need to take?
Usually for us, because of this pandemic and the economical crisis, we are expecting a trend of increasing crime. The first thing, general public have to understand this situation. The second is mainly as a law enforcement agency responsible for this curbing crime in Sri Lanka is Sri Lanka Police. Then police have to identify the trend of the crime after this pandemic and situation and the economical crisis. Basically, the crime against property, we are expecting to be increased, like housebreaking and theft.
Right.
Because people when they need money for certain their requirements, and they may act on these crimes. Then housebreaking is the main problem which these urban people are suffering, because when you are checking the statistics of this crime in under the geographical circumstances, basically we identify this theft and housebreaking in urban area. There's a increase. Then people have to watch, and they have to take certain precautions, especially when they leave the houses during the daytime. And there should be someone to look after the house. There should be otherwise they have to keep their valuable things in the very secret places or very uncommon places or safest places. These things they can follow.
What about CCTV?
Yeah, CCTV is also a part of tool what we are using for investigation.
And nowadays, of course, you can have it on these things, on the smartphones.
Yeah,
you can link
smartphones.
it.
Yes, these are the technical devices and the technical instruments what we are using to curb crime. This is a very good. You can have the CC, but now recent past cases we have identified some people, especially the professional criminals. They knew the CCTV angle. They try to avoid these places. One thing. Second thing, they cover their faces, and especially now these days people are using masks, face masks. Then they use this as advantage to close their identity.
Now then, whilst you're saying this, and of course I must ask you this question, because in the last few hours social media, it's gone viral about the attack on a member of the public by a police officer. It has been filmed and it's been pushed all around. So in the past we've had in one case a policeman jumping on a member of the public, another one kicking somebody in towards a van, and another one hitting. And these are just three things that I've taken, but this is almost rampant. How does the public gain confidence in our police service, and what specifically retired DIG Jayakody, what precisely should happen to the police officer today who was caught on film hitting someone? Who gives him the right to hit somebody?
Yes. For us, even I too notice these instances what you have mentioned in different stages in last couple of days. And my idea and my opinion is these things should not tolerate by the high ranks. These officers must be dealt in proper way, and especially the standard of the human rights in the police should be upgraded. And even I am very happy most of these instances happened during the last couple of months or years. The Inspector General of Police has taken very stern action against these officers. Even the last time, 3 days back, there was a constable is assaulting a young chap on a motorcycle. Yes, and in this instance also immediately they have taken disciplinary action and interdict this.
What about person. Today? It was
yes,
quite
definitely.
A senior man.
No, it's not today or the tomorrow, the yesterday. Any human right violation or any offence done against the public by police officers should be properly dealt with the severe disciplinary action plus the normal criminal action against, because though he is a policeman, he has no rights to break the law of this country.
No one is above the law.
Exactly, no one is above the law.
Now, one of the other things I want to ask you, because forever and a day, Sri Lanka, any government in Sri Lanka in the past, especially since the end of the war, have faced international calls to up their game, to up our game on accountability and human rights especially. So in the police service, do you have a kind of program to educate and train officers across the ranks that they must follow basic human right guidelines?
Yes, I can remember year 2015, myself and Senior DIG Ajit Rohana, we launched the program for different levels. First we summoned all officers in charge of the police stations, say about 460 or 70, and we did a one-day program. Then we summoned the ASPs, SSPs, DIGs. Up to DIG we conduct this program with the assistance of the some organizations, and it was highly effective because at that time there was 2 deaths happened inside the police stations, one at Paliagoda and one at Pusella. Then, but after this program we were managed to control this.
Right.
Because like that, then preserving the human right is also a duty of the police officer. Because if you are a police officer, you are not empowered to break the law. You are not empowered to do the offences against the human right. Because if you are a human being, you will have to preserve the human right.
Now, in that clip today that we saw, and it's going around on social media, the victim, the chap who's been hit, we can hear him say that this man's Honda Mobila, you know, the insinuation that he was drunk. Now, if you also, and he just mentioned Paliagoda, at an incident where a trainee lawyer had got into some trouble at that same police station, the claim was the same, that some officers who were there and present in this beating up of this young lawyer was drunk or under the influence of liquor, and surely that doesn't sound right to me.
Yes, for us it is something like this.
Yeah.
As a trained police officer, you should know how to handle the people. In the sense, because sometimes people may aggressive, and some instance people may try to attack you. Only this instance they have their right of private defense. Under the normal right of private defense, you can use that also law says that you have to use the minimum force. Minimum force and arrest the person. Now they given the raw interpretation, now the required force, not the minimum in the sense, it's called the required
but
force.
well, it can't be a thin line between minimum force and an attack on somebody else, on a person, which is going to cause you lasting damage, you know. Because that's...
Yes, because the policing is also a very difficult job. You'll have to do your mental concentration, and sometimes, because though we say that these are the trained police officers, but during the training we teach every methods, how to handle the people, how to talk to the people, how to do how to implement the law. But sometimes inside your mind there are so many characters. Sometimes these people will rise up. During that time, he also try to be another thug. But we can't tolerate these things.
In your view, I'm not mentioning any names, but in your view, as a person who's invested 40 years of your life in the police service, you've actually invested 40 years there. And now when you're looking back and you see these clips on social media and so on, what should be done with that policeman today? You know, the person who was caught on camera hitting someone, attacking some member of the public.
No, definitely he should be dealt with disciplinary action, plus you'll have to implement the law on him, but according to this offense. But before that, you'll have to consider the sequences of the case. Why he attacked, whether he to attack, and whether he attacked this person to safeguard his life. Because policing is not a very easy job for us, because we have to always get antagonized with criminals, with bad moralities, and these things also will have to take into your consideration when you are analyzing these incidents.
Now then, we are about to go in for a break, but I'm going to read out a question, and when we come back after the break, we will consider DIG Priyantha Jayakody will consider the answer. And here is the question. It is more like a statement. It's quite long. Can you please ask your guest why he's bothering so much about house break-ins when the professional thieves from the dear one are stealing whole pieces of land with houses sitting in them too? Well, that was the question. When we come back, we'll hopefully get an answer. Why, indeed, are we bothering about house break-ins? Let's find out, shall we? After the break, we'll see you on the other side.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. I'm in conversation with retired DIG Priyantha Jayakody. Now then, DIG Jayakody, one of our listeners has asked us this question: why are the police bothering with break-ins when there are people from the Dear One area in that big house? They're supposedly stealing lands complete with houses. So they're not just breaking in, they're just taking the whole thing.
Yes, for us to take any action against any crime in this country, we need someone to make a complaint. But when we think when you consider in the facts mentioned in his questions, it's a very again a very wide meaning. If someone make a complaint, whether he steal the government land or house or whatever it is, police have to take action against it.
But you need a complaint.
Yes.
No complaint.
Yes, that's so far. I don't know because this is a very wide interpretation.
All right. So the police will take action when they have a formal complaint.
Yes.
Now then, DIG, when we read about, let's take the cricket board for example. We had instances of the money has ended up in Mexico, in the United States, and certainly in Mexico. There's no Sri Lanka cricket in Mexico, and it was obvious that there was some form of crime has been committed. And to this day, even though millions have been spent by Sri Lanka cricket and the Board of Control before that on legal matters, no action, there has been no successful prosecution, which seems to me that it's a waste of public money.
Yeah, first I have heard about this incident because there's a ongoing investigation for this case. It's a stealing money by using the fraudulent document. And this case is investigated by the Criminal Investigation Department. That is my memory. But these are the cases where these foreign countries, foreign banks involved, and these are very complicated crimes. Within 24 hours, like when we catch the thieves and recovering goods, you can't complete these cases.
Right.
These are very complicated. So many parties were involved. Some are, most of them are in the foreign countries, foreign lands. There are some legal bars against this. You have to consider all these things when you are.
Difficult.
Yeah, not difficult, but it's a complicated. It takes a huge amount of time with different lot of resources also you need.
And what about, especially in during this pandemic, a lot of people have started using online purchasing and so on.
Yes, I want to draw the attention of the general public this issue, because during the pandemic situation we have totally changed our some culture about these buying things, and there are so many platforms are made to sell the things, to buy the things, and so many people are reluctant at home and using Facebook, new accounts, but there are huge amount of rising cyber crimes during this period. And there are different varieties. By using Facebook, making fake accounts, some people pretend as very rich people in abroad, especially like engineers, doctors, they make fake profile and start to make a conversations with people. Especially their target is these ladies, and they try to steal the money. Then they say that I have sent you the gift, and you'll have to pay the custom duties to the local account, and they introduce local people with the account, and ultimately now Sri Lankan people also get involved, because on these instructions of these racketeers, they open some accounts on commission basics, because when the money comes, he give little amount to the account holder and take the whole money. Because like this, these are the very complicated rackets by using the Facebook. That's why we have advised general public not to use these fake relationships, because with these people, especially African group of people like Nigerians, they were involved. So many people were arrested and they were detained at Milihana concentrate camp until they deport to their particular countries. Then these will have to be very careful. And another incidents are basically based on the fake goods. Some people make accounts and they want to sell the items and to deposit money. When you deposit the money, they open this account with somebody's identity card which was stolen, and they make the account and take the money from after they deposited, and you won't get the things back. Then you have to be very, very careful when you are using the cyberspace for to buy these certain consumable articles, and you have to make sure whether these the people are there, whether these companies are there, because so many people comes to police station with different way of complaints.
And DIG Jayakody, can I also ask you, because after 40 years inside the service, you must know a few things or two about the police service. How do you clean up and strengthen the quality of the police service? Is it caused because of a pay issue? Are the police not paid enough money, and therefore there is corruption? And also the good ones, quite often we see good officers capable of doing something or other are transferred from one case to another and shooed away.
First thing for us to have a good policing in this country, you need to recruit the good people.
Yeah.
Good people with good qualities.
Is recruitment to the police service, is it politicized or not?
How should I say? Because of sometimes the recruitment get politicalized, and they send the list and get it. But you'll have to select a correct person to the police. That is the main thing. Second thing, to remove the political influence from the service. The policemen should be able to work with their backbones, because sometimes we have seen so many instances we come across the politicians are interfering for their work. This is another big bar against the police officers, especially in Sri Lanka. Then the low pay. Pay also should be increased, because today the highest number of police, the salaries are drawn by the Hong Kong police, then the Singapore. The corruption of the Hong Kong and Singapore has drastically comes down.
Well, what is on average, do you know, what is the basic salary of a constable?
In Hong Kong, I suppose it is over $2,000.
What about here in Sri Lanka?
Yes, it's Sri Lanka somewhere around about constables 40 to 50,000.
And at the top, at the IGP, I'm presuming the IGP is the highest paid.
Yes, I think his salary is, I'm not sure about it.
Okay, but
it should be in between 150 to 200,000.
and the constable's about 35, did you say?
35, in between 35 to 45. Without allowances, sometimes they pay these minor allowances like others allowance, then the subsistence and all. But definitely it should be increased, because the highest paid salary people, police officers in the world and as well as in Asia are the Hong Kong and Singapore.
Right, and okay. The other thing is, would you welcome a situation where the salaries are increased, but there is zero tolerance for corruption and for doing things like that chap did on the road to Ratnapura?
Yes, but for this corruption issue, you can't isolate police.
No, not at all.
When the entire country corruptions are
But we need to start somewhere. The police service is a good place.
very high grade. It should start from the top. When the top clear, that is what the Lee Kuan Yew said. Lee Kuan Yew said that the anti-corruption drive should start from the top. Then automatically the down part will get clean. When we starting from the down part without touching the top, the people say that this is just doing for the namesake. That is the most important thing. That's what Lee Kuan Yew did in Singapore.
Do you feel, DIG Jayakody, that the people have lost confidence in the police, or
No,
do you think that
no.
they have increased confidence?
No, they have not lost the confidence of the about the police, because in some instance, some isolated incidents, we can see there are people, there are something happened against the will of the people, but still Sri Lanka police maintain certain degrees among the public, because still the general public trust on police.
And
that is why you are going to sleep tonight in your house by trusting your area police.
Thank you. But room for improvement.
Yes, there are huge amount of room for the improvement. That improvement in the favor of general public, and public also have to think about the police.
Yeah.
And it should be definitely a mutual understanding between two parties. Now today you are going to sleep by trusting your area police.
Sante Sana, thank you very much. DIG Priyantha Jayakody, retired, of course. Thank you. And that's the way it was on Newsline Live this evening. Do take care and sleep tight, as DIG Jayakody says. It's now time, of course, for the prime time news from News First. In the meantime, as always, God bless you.